No, no wonder. Wow, it's amazing. No wonder this tool I'm about to speak on had the option of exemption, which is crazy because it works in both ways, and it works in both private and public. So, just for context, this is not financial advice. Disclaimer: this is awareness of what's happening and the shifts happening in the financial spectrum, financial markets, and how we're conducting our businesses, our consumers, our buys, our spendings, expenses. Now, everyone, even businesses, everyone has expenses, okay? And they have these entities, right? And they have to go through the hurdles so that things are balanced, books are balanced. The credit you give is the credit you are to receive. That's what the tax system was there for, okay? Same for the for what product or service, whatever business you did business with, or wherever you bought from. The same thing goes for them. They had to purchase, all right, give a credit, and they have to get it right back. So the reason the old system was failing so much is because the processes for this and the tools where people could easily do this was either too much for one organization or too much for several organizations, because even with several organizations or people, businesses, individuals working together for accounting purposes, for example, which this expense will help you with, even with those people, they still had their challenges of having to wait or a lag in financial in old financial engines or old methods, you could say. People like the paper method, yes. All right. But you also have physical buildings where people can do the business of keeping things tracked right away and getting the only problem was getting the refund. The tax refunds was there's a lag, a year. You have to go through tax season in order to get everything you kept record of in order to get it all back. But now what I'm looking at, and I've always dreamed of this because when I saw crypto peer-to-peer transactions, I thought of that beforehand, and that's why no wonder when I saw it, it felt like I was being sucked into something familiar, almost like a black hole. But it was like I was so zoomed in and I was so swept in awe. I was like, wait, I've been dreaming of something like this because it's hitting on some key context, peer to peer, to keep accounting up to date and not having to wait, no lags. All right, instant transactions. And I always thought, well, if the point of a tax system is to recycle money so everyone gets equity, why the many lags and procedures? Again, I've said this and we've explored this and spoke about it in my old video, in one of my videos, recent videos, where I talk about, um, I forgot how I title it. Oh, it's not hitting my mind at the moment. But in one of my previous videos, I mentioned this, why certain financial systems, centralized financial systems, were not up to date, and the way people and some of those systems and engines and automated systems and engines that they produce were not up to par. We're not at full capacity with the truth of our economy and economy in general. The truth that essentially everyone has open-ended credit, finance is infinite, right? There is no lack, and we don't need overproduction. So if you are looking at what's happening in the financial space, what's happening in the AI space, all right, what's happening in 3D printing space, how people are going to be able to manufacture their own things. Well, for example, Machina Labs. Machina Labs, they have these robots. Just look them up, that you can use to customize designs for vehicles, for example, aircraft. Okay, wow, and it all can fit. Essentially, it can fit inside an airplane hangar. All right, and even smaller areas. Exact size, I don't know. You could go. They talk about this on their website. Go check them out. So now with this Expensify tool, it appears that people are going to be able. You have to obviously see. Here's the thing: when you're learning about private and public, how they do business and how they're so alike. Okay. And areas that are unique but also alike in the sense of equity. Well, that equity used to have a big lag, but now with these tools, people can essentially, instead of having to go to physical buildings or travel long miles to go to physical buildings to conduct, for example, I pay some food at a grocery store. I got the receipt, and it shows what I spent, my credit, and it shows the tax, the credit needed that needs to be owed. All right, what needed to be owed for the product or service. So everyone essentially in this receipt, the receipt I get, the receipt they have, is equity for everyone. But you'd have to wait, and you have to order all of that, and then you'd have to wait until you can get tax season around, and then get your refund. Now with this tool of Expensify, it appears, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am mistaken, because it appears essentially after I even asked the online concierge about it, it appears what it is it's going to allow people like you and me and the businesses we do business with, or any consumer we do, any place we do business with, or buy or use a product or service or pay for something, it'll all be kept right there, peer to peer, for instant reimbursement. How about that? Therefore, helping balance all books, both private and public. Okay. Now, some challenges some people may see is that, well, you're going to need several people to run that. Okay. Because how is one person going to do all of that? It's not just one person. The idea is that it will be AI, right? But then, of course, that's another automated system. Let's remember that. There's bound to be some kind of error. So, what happens? This is why this relationship that you have with the businesses you speak to is important. This is why this instant reimbursement is important. Because if you actually think about it, this instant reimbursement methodology can actually help to clarify books immediately. As a matter of fact, most likely what the IRS might even do, and even other companies that see the usefulness in this, they're going to get their accountants, they're going to jump on it, and they're going to probably hire a bigger team of accountants. And the world, the economic world may need a little brief trial moment where there are big teams, just so that once the fiscal year is done, everything is already balanced and we start anew. Okay. And now, of course, we still have room to simplify. Okay. We still have room to simplify. Okay. Because some people, you'll still need people to do all these things, right? To make sure that they know and understand fully that credit is credit. There is no debt. Credit is credit. Everyone has credit. And so these tools help with us being able to work together to balance these things out, or whoever you are working or doing business with, or whoever you purchased or use the service with, etc. Okay. Same for those businesses. They have to do the same thing. Keep it all together. This is part of the responsibility of managing your affairs or your financial spendings and expenses. So, anyways, there's still room for improvement, I say, because we definitely want to be able to make things very simple. All right, and that's where the mega project comes in. But nonetheless, that's all I have for y'all. Namaste.